Alright, so I'm sure many of you watching this have already had your first car experience, and I would absolutely love to hear stories about those in the comments down below. However, this video I really wanted to make for the young car enthusiast, essentially me when I was back at 17 and I had just gotten my first car. I think it's sometimes very difficult, especially in the modern day and age when we have social media and we can see a lot of young people who have got very successful and they're flashing their sports cars and supercars all over TikTok and Instagram, whatever. And it's sometimes disheartening when you're a petrol head, you're really into cars, and yet you can't really afford something that's decent, especially with the way that insurance is. My God, insurance for a young driver is incredibly expensive. So most people can only afford to get some really small, cheap manual hatchback. And as a petrol head, that's kind of disheartening because you want something a bit more fun. However, I would love to make this video and convince you guys that what you have, no matter what it is, no matter how slow or bad you think your car is, I want to convince you that you can still have fun in that car and enjoy it as a petrol head. And the best way to do this and showcase this is anyone that you meet that has already had their first car, ask them about their first car and you'll notice nothing but smiles and laughs as they tell you the most ridiculous stories you've ever heard about when they own their first car. I think that's one of the key things that people don't pick up on is when you ask other people about their first car experience, they tell you stories with a massive smile on their face. So why is this? Why is it that a lot of petrol heads, pretty much all petrol heads, have such fond memories of their first car, no matter what it is? And the key to it is several things, but the first thing is a phrase that is quite fun to reiterate, is that it is sometimes more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow. So what does that mean? Well, with speed limits, it's quite difficult, especially in a very fast car, to put your foot down for more than 2 or 3 seconds, right? Because by that time, you're already up to national speed limit, and if you go any faster, you're running the risk of breaking the law. Slightly different story with a slower car. For instance, my first car was a 2005 Volkswagen Polo, and it had a 3-cylinder 1.2 litre engine generating, I want to say, around 60 horsepower, although that might be slightly off. Quoted 0 to 60 time was, I think, 14.9 seconds, which is incredibly slow. However, what that means is I can put my foot flat to the floor, rev it right to the red line, and in 15 seconds time I still won't be going 70 miles an hour. I can drive my car incredibly hard for so long and still not break any speed limits, which is part of the fun of having a slow car. First of all, you're still a new driver most likely, having had your first car, so to put you in something that is actually extremely quick is probably quite dangerous. So what this means is you can drive your car to the max and still not break any speed limits because you're going incredibly slow, but have the thrill of driving your car extremely hard and pushing it to the max. That is what is actually fun. Not the act of necessarily going fast, but the act of pushing your car to its limits, even if those limits are considered extremely low by modern car standards. It is the fun and the thrill of pushing your car and finding those limits because you're still going so slow that you can't really do that much damage. Another thing is that being a new driver, even though you may have passed your driving test, chances are you're still actually getting to grips with driving in the real world. For instance, you probably haven't even been on a motorway if you haven't passed your driving test, and that'll be a unique experience without actually having somebody else in the car. So there are still things you're actually trying to get to grips with, and having a car that you don't have to worry about getting bumps and scrapes and scratches all over can kind of give you the confidence to push and test your limits, you know, get used to finding where your wheels are and not having to worry about curbing your rims because it's a cheap car, right? You know, it's just you scratching up your little plastic hubcaps. Chances are you're not going to get much back out of the car when you sell it, and you bought it for so cheap. It doesn't matter. Enjoy it. Have fun with the car. Don't have to worry about scratching it. Don't have to worry about damaging it that much. So you get the confidence not only to push your car to the max, but the confidence that if it does go wrong, if you do end up scraping or bumping or even damaging your car in some certain way, even minor bumps and scrapes, you don't have to worry about, because it's a cheap car, it's your first car. These things happen, and I'm sure if you speak to other people, they'll give you tales of how they reversed into some brick wall or they clipped some pillar while they were parking. It's part of being a driver, especially when you're young. These things happen, but it's better to get them out of the way now with your cheaper car than it is to do it later on in your second or third or fourth car when you've spent a bit more money on it. Another thing I want to touch on is the appreciation you get from your first car. Typically, a lot of first cars won't have that many features. For instance, my Polo that I talked about earlier didn't even have air conditioning. And so when I had to drive to and from school in the summer for about half an hour each way, it was torture. The amount of sweat that came off of my back every time I got out of that car was frankly disgusting. But in my new car, I have air conditioning, and I'm able to appreciate that fact because I know what it's like to go without it. I know what it's like to go without cruise control, or automatic headlights, or automatic wipers, or adaptive suspension. All these other features that are on faster, better, more expensive cars, you'll appreciate because you know what it's like to be without those features. If you start out with the best car in the world, you'll never appreciate it. You hear stories all the time, people who are, born into extreme wealth, who were given all of these things free of charge, and they never appreciate it. And the reason is, they don't appreciate it because they don't know what it's like to be without it. And so as a petrol head, because you've started out with a very bad car, you will then appreciate when you do eventually earn enough money, you work your way up in your career, whatever it is that you do, you'll appreciate when you do get a better car. You'll appreciate the features on it. And at the end of the day, I think that'll make you a happier person. So one of the most important things you will learn from having your first car is you'll learn to appreciate the things that will come later with better, higher spec cars. Now, I'm sure there are more reasons as to why you can and will definitely be able to enjoy your first car. But I want to bring it back to what I said at the beginning of the video, how when you talk to petrol heads and you ask them about your first car, that they'll do it with a beaming smile on their face and with a laughter about whatever story they want to tell you about their first car. It's a rite of passage for every petrol head to go through this experience, to start out with some really bad car and then feel the appreciation of working your way up to something better. Yes, maybe your car's bad. Yes, maybe it's not what you wanted, but you're young. You've still got so many years ahead of you and so much to get out of the automotive community that you have no idea what is in store for you as a petrol head in the years to come. And at the end of the day, you have to think to yourself, why is it that you're interested in cars? What is it that you love about them? What is it that has drawn you to becoming a petrol head? Or what has made you one already? Everyone will have their first stories about how they got into cars and what actually interested them in taking part in the automotive world and getting into cars. You may have already had that experience, or that experience may be ahead of you. But one of the things that is universal for petrol heads is they will absolutely love their first cars. And I know once you get rid of your first car that you will love it too. No matter what it is, no matter how slow it is, no matter how bad it is, you'll always look back fondly on your first car. So take pride in the fact that you have a first car. Enjoy the fact that you have a first car, because that car is freedom. You can go anywhere that you want. You can do anything that you want in that car. It'll take you to the ends of the earth if you ask it to. So instead of being upset about whatever first car you've got, go out there and put some miles on it, because I guarantee you one day you will miss that car so much that you wish you could buy it back. Alright, so I really hope you guys have enjoyed that video. Of course, if you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as it really does help out. And I'd love to be able to grow this channel to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That's kind of my goal I'm trying to reach. So I'd really appreciate you guys if you could help me out with that. And of course, I'd love to hear you guys talk about your personal experience with your first car. Leave your stories down in the comments below. I'd love to be able to read them. But without further ado, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.